Good evening. There's not an agenda item that this really speaks to, but I just want to address the board real briefly and the public just to commend the officers in our department for the work they've been doing, especially lately. Normally I get to present to the Public Safety Committee and provide a bunch of information. I know most of the board members are there. A lot of the public is often not. But as I started preparing for this one, I just want to point out that, again, the fact that we're at fully staffed levels, we have more officers on the street than we ever have before at any given time of the day. They're here whether there's a blizzard yesterday or otherwise. We've had, and not to jinx us, we've had 0 burglaries in the village and 0 robberies since going back through last December. And I think that's a direct correlation to the proactive work that they're out there doing on the street. So I want to commend our department, our officers, our office staff. I just want to take a minute to do so tonight. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you for the update.
0 DUIs.
Is there anyone else desiring to be heard? None. Consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On opposition, say nay. Motion passes. Any other communications than the department reports?
No, sir.
Committee reports, building board.
Building board met at 5:40. We approved a fence permit for Jeremy and Jasmine Gibbs located at 13010 West Stark. Also on the agenda were 2 sign permits. The first one for RK Rubber located at 12833 West Glendale. The second was for Charlotte Moore located at 12519 West Hampton. All were approved. End of report.
Thank you. Community Foundation met as previously mentioned. Our member Bob Tarks passed away. We also talked about just general maintenance on the house, and then we are starting to set up the fire department artifacts display, trying to get that figured out, and then maybe some activities for July 4th are being talked about. End of report. Finance.
Finance Committee met just a few minutes ago. Under new business, reviewed and approved the February invoices of $1,205,589.20. And we reviewed and approved the February statement of revenues and expenditures to pass it on for the full board for approval. End of report.
Thank you. Library board.
Okay, library board met Tuesday the 10th at 6 o'clock. Numerous items were discussed, including the trustee education, including the library investment into community as a resource of free of charge offering for the community. It's also been a great social environment for the community. Upcoming events, we have a tiny art show on March 30th, Train Fest on the 25th. We're also in the 4th of July parade. Unfortunately, our budget went slightly over $4,300, mainly due to utilities. The health and safety program was approved. The Friends of the Library have a big day coming up. Hope all can participate. With that, it will be breakfast with the Easter Bunny, puzzle, and trivia. Next meeting is April 14th. End of report.
Was that 4,300 on the last budget of 25?
Yeah.
Thank you. Community Events Committee.
No meetings since our last village board meeting. However, we did have a bingo and we did very well, right?
Yes.
I'm looking at the email and I think it was a little over 1,500 for profit. That was very good.
Thank
Good
you.
report.
Report of the administrator.
I have several items for you. We are in the final stages of preparing our Wisconsin Emergency Management application for the August 2025 floods. Since FEMA denied the appeal from the state of Wisconsin, we can only select and submit certain expenditures. So we are submitting about $34,000 worth of expenditures to the state for approval. If approved, we are only going to be getting about 70% of that per statute. So we are in the final processes of getting that applied for. That is due by the end of the month. We have also began discussions on the 2027 to 2029 police contract. We did have that blizzard yesterday. I want to commend our DPW and our police department and our fire department for their response. Thankfully, it seems like most people stayed home. There wasn't too many issues that I heard of. We did mail out absentee ballots for the April 7th general spring election on Friday. So people who have absentee ballot requests on file should be expecting those in their mail today or tomorrow. We did also send out utility bills. Those are due on the 3rd of April. We did also advance the water tower project. We had the inspector out there, and I communicated to the board the problems that we're seeing with that and the required funding that we are going to need to repair the water tower. Ari Smith came back today with a very minimal kind of time and materials quote of about $5,000 for that on top of what was quoted for the repairs. And we are also working with the city of Brookfield to get innovation grant funding for the fire department merger. That will take 25% of the cost of the fire department merger for the next 5 years off the backs of taxpayers and will be paid for by the state through that funding. So we're looking at getting that applied for and approved by the end of the month.
Thank you. At this time, I'd ask for a motion to change the order of the agenda to put the old business discussing the fire station number 2 at the end of new business.
I'll make a motion to switch old business to the end of new business.
I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On opposition, say nay. Motion passes. New business, item A, presentation by Hamilton School District Superintendent Paul Melky. And I had, last year we had Dr. Melky show up and give us a little presentation of Hamilton School District, and I asked him back to give us an update for this year.
I appreciate the opportunity to come back and let you know what's going on with the school district. So we'll clip through a couple of things. Wanted to just give you a couple of, the important stuff is the academic achievements, and then give you a little insight in a couple of other things that you may not be aware of. So want to go to the first slide you're going to see is the Waukesha School. Waukesha County tends to be one of the best performing counties in the state for academic achievement. The forward exam is the state exam that's given to all students in the state. You can see where Hamilton there is on the yellow. The ELA stands for English Language Arts. We're number 2 in the county, number 3 in math, and then tops in science and social studies. So top 3 across the board, and arguably the top district looking at those stats if you look at where we rank. So we're proud of that. Next slide. He's going to show you our state report card data. All of the schools get ranked on state report card. There's a lot of things that go into that. Biggest one is your student achievement and also student growth. So if you look at that, the first thing on the left there is going to say significantly exceeds expectations. That's 5 stars. That's the highest ranking you can get as a school district. So we've achieved that. If you look to the right, we rank top 2% in the state in achievement. So over our score is 13th. You can see our consistency there where we ranked last year. Overall achievement, we're a 7. If you look at English language arts achievement, we were 7th, and math is 8th. So really strong there, continue to be strong. And in growth, that's the other part that you get measured on. Growth basically is supposed to indicate all students should grow the equivalent of 1 academic year every year, and if you're meeting that. So a few years ago in 2021, we ranked 158th in the state. So we put a lot of effort into that to make sure that we're catching kids who are behind earlier, making sure we're getting them in a more systematic way. And we moved up significantly there. We're up to 45th. So almost over 100 spot increase in a couple years. So that's a lot of work that's going on, and we're helping a lot of students that way. AP stands for our advanced placement classes. So those are the classes that are at the high school where students take those classes and then get, if they pass a test at the end of the year, they get college credit toward those. So you can see the number of exams are taking are up, the number of students that are taking it are up, and our pass rate is extremely high. The national pass rate is usually somewhere in 60 to 70% range, depending on what class it is. Some are higher than others, and we're at 94%. We have a couple classes with 100% pass rate.
Sweet.
super impressive for those students and for that staff. They put a lot of work and effort and pride into that program. So things are going well there. This is transcripted credit. So the first one I talked to is really for the kids who are on the 4-year college track, probably. This one translates a little bit more to the students who may be on the 2-year track or like a technical college. So students have an opportunity to take classes at Hamilton. They count for Hamilton credits for graduation. They also count for credits for WCTC. So they can get, there's some math classes, English, family consumer science. So those would be like some health type classes or child care type classes to get credit in. Applied engineering, so some welding, some things like that. So we are number one in the county for that. So I think that says a lot about the district. We're topping the academics for 4-year, and then here in 2-year, we're also near the top. And then the next one, this is, if you look at his industry recognized certification, and on the bottom is going to again tell you some things that applies to. So a CNA or an EMT, ServSafe, that's some food type things, Adobe certified professional, so some Microsoft Office, things like that. SolidWorks would be things for designing things in your applied engineering classes. So we're one of the tops in the state in that, and that program continues to grow. We are really reaching out and working a lot more with the community in the last couple of years to try to get some more of our apprenticeships and things like that going up. So again, we do well there. I think one of my greatest sources of pride for Hamilton is if you're a 4-year track or 2-year track, you're looking to go to the workforce right away. We're excelling in those areas for kids. So we're trying to meet all kids' needs. These are just some other noteworthy things. I guess any questions? I know it's quick, and I'll just give you a couple.
You're doing good. You're doing good. I'm just, you're doing good.
Well, staff is doing tremendous job. They do
Yeah, absolutely.
They're really supportive for our Hamilton School District, for our families, and really appreciate the support that we get across the
It's good to see your industrial construction has really ramped up. I know last time you were here, you were just starting to get that really, rolling, and you guys did an addition, I believe, right?
Yeah, so 7 years, so we've done 2 referendums. We're done doing referendums now. So we have caught up with kind of the growth that's been in the community, and then we put some resources into that applied engineering. If any of you would ever want to come take a look at those labs, we can walk you through and show you. But yeah, really proud of the things that are going on in there. They do a really good job.
Yeah, good to see schools are bringing that stuff back where they kind of got away from it. So
Yeah.
great to hear.
The one thing we had last year is we were named top school in the year at the high school level and at the middle school level. It's the first time in the history of the state where one school district was recognized in the same year for having top program. So that was
Sweet.
to get that recognition. Just a couple of things I want to make you aware of. So these are a couple of survey results. So our parents take a survey every May, and what you see there's some really high percentages in how we're doing. So the first one is if they agree or strongly agree, and then there's sometimes people are neutral. So when you add those two together, they're not negative towards the school district. If there's one way to look at it, you can see that we're in the mid 90% for some of those things where if they leave my child's a safe place to learn. Overall, I'm satisfied with the school district, really strong. Then the bottom ones that say staff, we give our staff an opportunity to do a survey every year. They go in fall. And again, same with that. You see some really high rates. So parents surveys say we're doing a good job. Staff think we're doing good too. So I think that says a lot too. We're trying to meet the needs of the kids and also take into account and balance what the parents are saying along with the staff to try to make it all work. So next one, this one you might find interest too. We added a second school resource officer. Hamilton did have, we were the only school district in Waukesha County that had one resource officer. Some had 2 or 3. So we have now have 2. So Alex Ortega is our second resource officer. So they're at the schools. They do a really good job. Everything from directing traffic to going in classrooms and presenting about hazards of vaping and online safety, being a resource for students, as well as any kind of deterrent for any kind of crime or anything like that. So something that we added this year. It's been a nice add for us. The other thing that I think we do is a little bit unique is we have an emergency officials luncheon, in which we invite all of the municipalities, either fire response and then also police. they come in and we do some tabletop exercises and we talk through like, hey, if this situation would happen, how would we handle it? One of the ones we talked about this year was if there would be a train derailment, what would we do with the kids? How would we respond? What would the communication look like? And then we talked through what we would do. We're sitting at the tables are mixed, and then the emergency officials give us some ideas like, hey, that's a good idea there, but you might want to think about this different. So we've been doing that for probably 6 or 7 years now. And we're to the point now where things are pretty good spot, but it's still a good chance for us to sit down in the same room and talk about some things that are going on and get a chance to make sure that we're staying on top of everything. This is pretty cool. We started a Wisconsin Adaptive Sports League. So us and Oak Creek Franklin School District, if you want to go to the next slide, I can show you that. We have special needs students who they won't get a chance to probably make a normal high school team. So these are kids that are playing, and we have 3 seasons for them. And you can see they have soccer going on. There was bowling season just got done. This was in the fall. And then they have a soccer coming up as well. And the cool thing about that, just one quick story, those kids came out, our regular student body band went out and played for them. They filled the bleachers. They cheered for the kids. We had a parent come and say, their students in high school, and they've had a special needs student, and anytime they had a birthday party, they never wanted to invite kids. First time ever, they wanted to invite their friends over to a birthday party. So the parents are really excited about that. But that was pretty cool. They're actually making those connections and doing that and giving those kids some opportunities they've never had before. So really proud about doing that. And then Hamilton Cares, mental health has been something that's been really big. People are really concerned about it, have a lot of questions on. So we just made it a lot easier for our parents to access that information. There's a spot dedicated to the website, gives all the resources that we have. On that screen on the left there, you can see all the different components we have. That's everything from speak up, speak out. So if you see anything that's going on versus, hey, my kid's struggling, I need some resources, what can you connect this with? So we just made it a lot more accessible for our families to do that, to take care of some mental health needs on it. And then the other thing we have that is pretty unique, I'm fairly certain we're the largest in the state, but we have a seniors program that we have 150 senior citizens come in plus. Usually we're right close to that 170 to 200 mark, and they come in and they either read to our students, they do pen pals with their students, interact, act as a mentor. Sometimes they just act as a friend, come in and on a regular basis and interact with our students. So it's a great program for us, and it's a chance for the people to get involved in the community. And we have some that drive 50 or 60 miles because that program that doesn't exist in their school district, and they come and help us out.
Cool.
Last thing I wanted to talk about is some referendum projects that we had. So we'll flip through these really quick. This is the new driveway at Maple School that took a lot of the traffic off of Maple and made a huge improvement over there at one of our elementary schools. Lannon Elementary, that's where we added some space onto that building to handle the new growth that's coming in. It's where we're seeing most of the growth at the elementary in that attendance area, and also Maple. However, Maple was bigger, got smaller, and now they're going back to where they were, so we do have room there. But those additions helped out. Then we added on some cafeteria space. We repurposed some room and made it a multi-purpose room. So that was a bigger room. We just took a couple classrooms out, remodeled it, so now students can use it. Otherwise, we had about 80 students that wouldn't fit in our cafeteria because we keep getting bigger, but the cafeteria is the same size as it was originally, 50 years ago. So we did that. That's been really good. It's a multi-purpose room, so it allows us to do some things. And then Hamilton, this one, I don't know if it's going to look that impressive, but they added that shed on that's on the side. And now we have room for a construction where kids can actually do some walls, mock up walls, and do some things that stay in. So they can do things like wiring or roof, things like that. They just use that space. They did some model dog houses for one of the shows that happened at the State Fair Center. So we have a big enough space now for them to do the construction and do some of those things. So that was a nice add-on for that program as well. And then that's the cafeteria space that we added on at the high school. So you can see some drop-down doors there, and that top one on the right, we can actually section that off and then run a different, at the end of the day, sometimes you have like a team dinner for like a football team or like the drama or band wants to do something. They can be in there while you still have a volleyball game going on. And it allows us to accommodate all of the students for lunch. We can only run 2 lunches now instead of 3, which I can get into that if you have questions. That's a big advantage for us. So that's really nice space as well. And then those are all the other maintenance projects that we were taking care of with that. We were able to do some really good things money-wise to save money on the project. So we're going to get those done plus some more on them, we believe. So we're going to be in a really good spot. And I think that's what I had for you today. I'd be happy to take any questions, but academically things are going really well. Parents and staff have been happy, and while no system's perfect, we try to get better every day. We think things are going in a good direction.
One question I've got for you. What's the growth expected for the next 3 to 5 years out there?
We're actually going to be pretty stable right now, we think. So if you're going to see, we're just over, we're about 5,100. We're close to that number, and we should stay there or slightly up for about the next 3 to 4 years. The thing that's hard for us to judge is actually 4Ks having an impact on some of the things we're doing, because there's some things that are going on daycare wise where our kids might not be coming to Willow, so they don't come to Willow, but then they'll come in kindergarten that way. But that's been fluctuating on us a little bit. So I would say either we're going to be stable. If they come back to Willow, then we're probably going to be plus 40 or 50 kids from where we're currently at. We also take a strong, we monitor what's going on with the building that's going on, and Sussex and Menominee Falls are our biggest drivers for that, and they both have really strong building permits going on. Again, I think about 200 to 250 somewhere in there plus. Off the top of my head, I think 237, something like that. So some of that depends on the economy but worst case scenario, we're going to be slightly up. We're going to be pretty stable, I would say.
All right, it's just with all the new building going on out there, homes. I was just curious what the growth looks like in next.
No, we're set now where we can handle some things. We have a little bit of room at each of the schools yet to go, so we should be in a good spot. And if things would ever happen at the high school where things would just explode, that last addition 7 years ago at the high school, the new addition on the high school that we put on, that was built so we could add a second floor to that, so we were proactive.
All right.
So relatively cheaply, we could get 13.
That's what I thought you had done. Yeah.
So we should be in a good spot.
All right.
Like I said, no more referendums. We're done.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
Never know when you're done. I know the high school was, the cafeteria was a big discussion. So that sounds like that went well for that expansion.
Yeah, and then real quick, so we used to have 3 lunch periods,
Mhm.
and now we can do that in 2. And the reason that's a big deal is because if I'm a student, I would go to lunch and then go to class. Third lunch, I would, reverse that. But if I'm in the middle, I would go to class, go to lunch, and then go back to the same class. And that makes it kind of complicated for a lot of reasons on it. If you're trying to take a test or doing things like that, the kids are talking in between. And there's less movement and some things like that. So that made a big difference there. And our after school spaces and activities that we can do because of that is also, that space is utilized then too. So it's been a really good add for us on it. And then the fact that they got the kitchen back up, they built the kitchen so it can handle things. So now our numbers are actually up because they're able to offer some different menu items that they weren't before. So now we have more kids participating in our lunch program.
And then your capacity wise, I know you said you have some, I know it was very tight in the last couple of years. So the additions did help alleviate those overflows.
Yeah, if we would have Lannon was probably really could have used that 3-4 years ago. So they kind of got some space now where they actually have some room. Like they used to have meetings right when you'd walk into their lobby areas when they were doing some meetings and stuff. And now we actually have some places to go. So it made a huge difference. The Silver Spring building, our middle school, when we built that opened up space at all of the elementaries. So that was a huge deal for us, and it allowed us to really open up capacity across the district.
All right. Really appreciate.
Any other questions? Thank you for coming in. We appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thanks for coming.
Yeah.
If you ever want one of those tours, just let me know.
You got it.
Definitely.
Thank you. You can sneak away. Item B, discussion and possible action on ordinance 26-07, an ordinance to regulate the sale of hemp-derived cannabises to individuals under 21, location of retail sales, and providing penalties.
So this ordinance follows suit of several larger municipalities that have already undertaken this last year. Currently, the state allows the sale of THC-derived products or hemp-derived THC products if they are in a volume of 0.3% or less per serving, I believe. And we have had several instances in the village and also more, obviously, if you go outside the village, of individuals who are children, say 10 to 14 years old, going into a gas station or whatnot and purchasing these THC gummies or snacks or drinks, and then consuming way too much for what they can tolerate and ending up in the hospital. So obviously, you can't buy, cigarettes or drink or anything like that until you're at least 18. Since this is obviously a drug and is still federally regulated, we are wanting to set the age at 21. I know that Police Chief Zalewski kind of spearheaded this and gathered the ordinances that were kind of going off of. This was a big topic at our WCMA conference, where the League of Wisconsin Municipalities advocated for local control because the state does not have any law in place that currently regulates this. So it's up to the local municipalities at this time to regulate this. So if you have any questions, you can ask me or you can ask Chief Zalewski. He does have some reference materials if you would like him to present those. But the ordinance obviously is kind of self-explanatory, that they cannot be selling any of this stuff to anybody under the age of 21, and they need to be checking IDs.
How do we determine the fee then? Is there a chart or if a retailer does that?
So the fee is set out in the ordinance, and it would go in front of the judge to assess the fee. So it would be pretty much like per transaction. So if Johnny goes in and buys it in the morning, and then he goes back in the afternoon, there would be two different citations, and the amount would be determined by the municipal judge upon rendering judgment.
So there's no like base?
It's 500 base up to 1,000.
Yeah, item D was the penalties. D. Okay. Now is the penalties for the retailer that sells it, or is that for the person in possession of it?
It is for the retailer that sells it.
Retailer, okay. Are these ordinances pretty common across the state?
They are becoming more, but I think, Brian, we're probably one of the first to enact something like that. Cities like Milwaukee, Madison, Brookfield have all enacted it, but smaller towns and villages, they're usually the last ones to adopt stuff like this.
Okay.
And our attorney did, he was in support of this type of act. So
Penalty D actually talks about the person themselves, not the facility. Or is it the person selling? So it goes to the actual person selling it?
Well, it says any person violating this section.
So I guess, Brian, can you come up to the podium really quick? Is that similar to how the alcohol laws are written?
Yes. To answer your question, yes, it would be issued to the person selling the product.
So it's the person running the cash register.
Correct. Thank you.
Yep. And part of the catalyst for this was I had some conversations with a resident who was concerned about their teenage child that was getting their hands on some of these products from a local business. And there was some frustration both on my part and that parent's part, because there is no state law that regulates this. So although ethically most places are doing the right things with these as far as who they're selling them to and how, there really was no recourse. I started working on this ordinance, looked at Brookfield's draft of their ordinance, which they recently passed, City of Milwaukee. And while I was in that process, I had follow-up contact with this parent. Their kid actually ended up in the hospital from ingesting some unknown substance that was purchased from one of these local retailers. So I think it's important. I support this, and I think it's at least some sort of recourse if and when something happens, and helps provide some, deterrent for retailers to not sell these products.
So are we going to be putting the ordinance up in these places of business that specify 21 years of age?
Yeah, I would we would definitely do for any retailers that sell these types of products.
Great.
We would definitely do some proactive marketing on our part to explain the ordinance and make sure that's very clearly understood. Our goal is obviously not to restrict retail sales,
Right.
just to restrict them to kids and people that are falling into the wrong hands.
Correct. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, and a copy of this will be sent out to all alcohol establishments and all the retailers that we know of that could possibly sell it. So that'll be done tomorrow.
Any other questions? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept 2607 as written.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All in opposition, say nay. Motion passes. Thank you for the background on that, Chief. Item C, discussion and possible action on resolution 26-07, a resolution selling the 1992 Pierce dash pumper and pursuing a purchase agreement.
Yes, so I'll just make a quick note. This is kind of happening a little bit outside of how we were doing it in the past, where we had a lot of closed session meetings to discuss this. The main driver of just having this as an agenda item in and of itself is we didn't have any other inquiries into the 1992 Pierce dash pumper on garage. We have two representatives from the Gear Up Foundation present in the front row. If you have any questions for them, or if you'd like them to come to the podium to speak on it, but they have outlined in a proposal to us about a little over $12,000 for the equipment on the engine and the engine itself. So if you have any questions, please let me know. But I would also ask that, with the pursuing the purchase agreement, just kind of doing what we've been doing with all of them, just kind of getting them to agree in writing and with signatures that it is as is. They're going to be responsible for the transfer of the title and all that stuff.
So currently it's on garage for 15,000,
Correct.
right? So that's
And yes, and that was the top
Fair.
estimate of what McMahon had given
a
us.
fair offer.
Correct.
So does this have to be, I know we have it on the closed session as well.
The closed session is for the 1990.
Ladder truck. Am I getting these two confused?
Yeah, you have it the
Oh,
same.
I'm so sorry. It should be for the 1990.
The closed session is for the 1990?
1990, yes.
Okay. Okay, I will make just a note that McMahon that was the consultant, and they did recommend Ron, and we donated a lot of our used, that's the uniforms from upstairs, the training uniforms. And so we gave them, gave you a whole pickup truck load of stuff already. So he did explain the foundation, and he could do so again tonight of what they do. So we are familiar with it. If you want to step up quick, if we have any questions, but
They've been around for a while. A lot of the municipalities also donate back. You can
Yeah.
talk to any fire department
yeah.
and everybody knows you guys.
And so Ron was fire chief at Allenton, right?
Assistant.
Assistant, okay.
Okay, I didn't get 5 years. I don't have-
Shy of
Although I've been
Bugle.
there 60 years. So.
I know. So the foundation then, in this situation, they would buy it, they pay for the shipping, they pay for you take it and then,
Matter of fact, we should be wrapping that up by tomorrow morning. The money should be transferred from Ecuador. Let me tell you, working with people in South America is a whole new experience. This was approved 4 or 5 weeks ago, and the money is finally in transition from the bank in Ecuador up to our facility up here. It's just every day there was, well, now these people need a signed statement, and these people need, but we're actually in the movement of buying 3 trucks at this time. One of them is up near La Crosse, the other one is up north of Rhinelander, and this truck, they're all going to the same department, which is a suburb of Guayaquil. Guayaquil is the largest port city in Ecuador, and they have very little for fire protection down there. That's why they're getting gear and they're getting tools and whatever we can. My only problem is I have to figure out, I may have to change the door handles on the truck, the locking type, because we found out that it's something like a rescue tool or pump it doesn't make it to the fire department when it gets to custom. So, we're gonna try and change the latches out to have locking ones on versus putting padlocks on them, but we.
Padlocks may
if
be
we
your
put 'em in
best
there, we're
bet.
gonna lock it up, huh?
Padlocks are probably gonna be your route because I've looked in this, changing those out and they're pretty pricey per handle. I was amazed at how, but then again, you may be able to talk to someone like Pierce with, you know, some kind of a donation or help along.
Yeah, that don't work very well.
No, well,
I
there might be
know.
some, but I do know that they're pretty expensive.
Yeah.
Couple,
Yeah, I know it's
$300
not
a handle.
So we haven't got that far yet, but it's either that or we're gonna ship it in the tote, right? The wood totes. That's the right name for it. He's my shipping guy. I don't move anything around in our storage units without Terry, because he's the expert at the skid steer operation. So if you've ever seen me get in a skid steer, run the other way quickly. So this foundation was started back after 9/11. And just a little background, one of the leading guy was on a volunteer fire department in South Salem, New York. They were moved up twice till they got to ground zero. And he ended up spending 30 days there helping in the recovery work. And he went to a funeral for one of the captains on a truck company. And they were all at a bar, and this lady walked in, and they connected, and they ended up getting married. She was from Ecuador. She was here representing the Chamber of Commerce of Ecuador. And so she took him to Ecuador to meet her family, and he noticed that once you got outside of any of the big cities, these guys had nothing. They were running around in t-shirts and shorts lighting fires. So he said, we throw better stuff away than what they have. And that's how it started. A friend of mine met him on a run in 9/11 in 06 and introduced me to him, and Brian and him did it together. And then they found out that I have a lot of connections in the fire service, and here we are now. So it's been an interesting experience, to say the least. And I've recruited some good friends of mine that helped me. So we've been known to work in 10-degree weather. Not that we like the loading a container, but the interesting part is this truck will run about $20,000 just to have it transported.
Phew.
So yeah, transport it. It'll be $7,000 to get it to Baltimore. I don't know how they put it on a boat. I'm half tempted to go sometime to see that. How do you put a fire? It don't fit in a container.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it, but and then it goes down and it gets out and it's got to go through customs and then delivered up. So once it's in Guayaquil, it's only got to go about 30 miles and it'll be home. So,
And then,
that's kind of what we do. And we do it a lot off of donating. I appreciate the stuff you've already donated. So that's us. I'm open for questions if you want.
and then you're for sure that the check will come, so we can proceed tonight?
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah.
and
It's
all set.
money's in transition.
Okay.
And I'm ready if we have to. I would even make $1,000 down payment just to show you that we are definitely going to do this.
That's not needed. We do have more uniforms or more turnout gear for you. So we
That'll
could,
be good.
we could put that on the truck if we had.
Yeah, we'll figure out somehow.
truck. Okay,
We'll
so,
figure that out somehow. Yeah, appreciate
all right.
it. Thank
And
you.
this is on the engine, just to be clear.
Yep, the engine. not
Yep,
the- not
The
the ladder.
92 engine, got it. Okay,
Very
any
good.
questions for Ron or about his foundation at all?
No questions, but thank you for what you do.
Well, thank you. As Terry tell you, it's pretty interesting once we get one shipped, how it makes this work. We ended up finding a guy at Brown, and they get their electric motors and wooden totes. And we can put 8 air packs complete and 8 spare bottles and some helmets, or not helmets, but hoods and gloves, and sometimes some boots in one, and they come with a wooden cover. So now when it comes to loading, it's much easier to do than when we had them all in boxes. Quite automated. Yeah.
Good.
When you get older, you get a little smarter.
Sounds good. And then there was no other, for administration, no other bids came in on this truck.
Correct.
Okay. Is there a motion to accept the bid presented to us?
Move to approve 2607.
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion?
Yeah, just something quick. As far as what's listed for equipment. I still see some discrepancies of, and I don't think it's anything major. I think there's more going to that got taken off. I know we kind of went back and forth once already about, so I know that generator's not there,
Right, I took that off.
but yeah, but it's on this, so that's why I'm addressing it. And there's some other stuff that goes with it. I don't think we need to per se worry about that, but just so that we're all on the same page as that. Other than that, they're getting more than what's on this, than what is not, so.
Yeah, and in the purchase agreement, we'll just have that, the complete correct list
Yep.
listed out, and then they'll
Yep.
sign it and we'll
Yeah.
be good to go.
Cause there's a lot of other stuff that's going
I
on there.
didn't make a new one, I don't have it on mine.
Okay, because I put that new one in the packet, so I don't know what.
There's gonna be more than what there isn't.
Okay,
There's
we'll
gonna
keep
be,
track.
Yeah, and what extra doesn't really, just so that we're on the same page that you're
Yeah,
with the one that's not gonna be there.
what happened, so,
We just have to have a complete list when we ship.
Yeah, and I
Otherwise,
can,
Customs people get.
yep, and I'll work that out and make sure you have a complete down to everything that's on there.
Yeah, that'll be
Okay,
part of the purchase agreement.
so you're aware, Ron, you're aware of what's on the truck compared to the list.
Yeah, we kind of. Ben and
Got
I
that
have
figured
kind of
out.
went back and forth.
Okay.
That's not there anymore.
And then, I guess I will need to know what happened to the generator that was on the truck, because that's a
'Cause-
bigger item.
Right,
This stuff was, when he went through the truck, that was at the very beginning.
I see.
You know what I'm saying? And that was before DPW and everybody else and all that stuff was done. So that's why there was a couple things, there's two things that weren't on there.
Okay, as long as Ron is aware. And then
Yep.
just to clarify the motion that was made, there was 5-inch hose, and then we are adding in 400 feet of the 2.5.
But I don't want the 5.
No, you
Correct.
don't want 5, you want 2.5 inch.
Yep.
Okay, so just for clarification on this motion, that the hose being swapped out is, so we're all aware.
They don't have water sources.
So,
Yep.
okay,
Yep, and we took off all the 5-inch
Okay.
connectors and all that as well.
sounds good.
I understand that.
Any other discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On opposition, say nay. Motion passes. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you. Good seeing
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
And we'll put those the turnout gear on the truck for you. So it saves us a trip.
We need to sign later on.
we'll send it to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, tomorrow morning I'll send it over to you.
Oh, all right.
So that, on our end, we're done with it.
If you don't mind, I'm gonna take a picture of the handle, the door latch.
Okay, we can, if you want to wait till afterwards, we can get that for you.
Yeah, it won't be long. Discussion, or actually, do you have a key? You could just go let him in to go do it. So he's not waiting. Thank you.
And I'll take care of it.
Thank you, Aaron. All right, that way you're not waiting for us. At this time, item D, discussion and possible action on a request by Brad Meyer on behalf of Friends of the Butler Library, of the Butler Public Library, for a waiver from the community building fees for their monthly bingo sessions. I did send the board your email, so they have it requesting those dates. And then if you want to just give us a little background on what your plan is.
So the plan, and trustee Sardina kind of, led to it a little bit with his library board review, is Friends of the Library has got a history, past over 30 years of supporting the library. They reached out, and I reached out back in, last fall, and we talked about, what can we do to generate some interest and some excitement. And as it worked out, Breakfast with Santa was something that the Community Events Committee wasn't ready to do this last year. So we took that responsibility from them and shared in that community event. And then in January, I attended the Friends meeting and was nominated and elected to be the president. Showed up for a meeting and walked out as the president. It was weird. But during that meeting, one of the things that we started to talk about was how can we increase our funding for the library? And in order to increase our funding, we needed to increase our fundraising. In our February meeting, the library director, Susanna, presented to us an opportunity for the library to continue on with programming. The cost of that programming was just a clip under $4,000 for the balance of this calendar year. We agreed to support that, and the next day, the Friends of the Library wrote a check for $4,000 for the library to be able to continue with those efforts. Knowing that $4,000 is twice of what they received last year, and knowing in order to be sustainable for the future and being able to support the library and its goals, its programs, and its initiatives, the Friends of the Library needs to take on more opportunity to increase our fundraising. They said, well, what about bingo? I said, what about bingo? They said, is there a chance for us to do it? We had discussion with the Community Events Committee, and as it turns out, there is an opportunity for us to do bingo. Modeling what community events has done over the last 5-6 years, the Friends of the Library would like to pursue that opportunity starting this May, and then run bingo, kind of treading into the unknown a little bit over the course of the summer, taking it from May through November for sure, and probably into December. The date that we've identified in December, we would piggyback off of that date and try and arrange some other things around Breakfast with Santa again, and offer bingo to the community from the months of May through December. With that comes the rental fee. Everything that the Friends of the Library intends to do is driven by supporting the goals of the library. The community of the library is the same as the community of the community. So I stand before you tonight asking for your consideration in waiving those fees for the months of May through December as a way of us being able to support the goals and the initiatives of the Butler Library. Us not having to pay those fees allows us to keep that money and being able to support those other projects. And that's what I'm asking for tonight, is consideration for the waiver of those fees.
So I'll just point out that the resident, usually the summertime, the resident rate for a weekend would be $350. And then the non-resident rate would be $600 per day. So the ask is for eight waivers. So on the one hand, where the Friends of the Library, where we would, if we waive the fees, that has the potential then to limit the revenue for the village. Depending anywhere, most of those dates get rented. I think we checked back in the calendar and it showed, summer is the busy time. So it's kind of, I'm not necessarily sure a full waiver would be appropriate. We do have, and I'll let board members speak as well. Just giving you some background. We do have regular weekday groups, and I believe they pay $80 per time.
Per time, correct.
And that's during the weekday.
That's during the weekday, correct.
And those regulars don't use the weekends.
Correct.
There's
There's an occasional like Christmas party on a Sunday.
on a Sunday, right? And that's later in the year. So for the most part, that just gives you some reference as to numbers. That's what we do for the repeat. And how many times do you think one of those? I know we have two big groups. How many times a year do you think they rent from us?
One of them rents twice a week, every week. And then the other rents once a week per month. So I know that we used to have 3, but then the other one's found another place. And so I think that all in total, one of them does at least 3,000. The other one does probably, 400 a month ish. So a good amount every year. I don't have the exact number.
I think the other thing that's that's important to consider is, as well, I see that cost. The January through March, April, May-ish bingo is established. We're treading into an area that isn't, and asking for an opportunity to generate these funds, not knowing what's on the other side of how many people are going to show up over the course of those 8 sessions.
Brad, can I ask quick, does the Friends of the Library, if you guys are successful in that, in the fundraising efforts where you say, I think that when at the bingo, you and I had talked and you had their original goal was about $2,000 to raise this year before you came on.
Right.
And so let's just say you doubled that to 4,000 or even 5,000 with the events that you're hosting now. Would that mean more assistance to the library in next year's budget, which would then relieve some of the tax expectations, like the tax revenue sent to the library? If you guys are going to supplement that, could that be an offset? I guess that what I'm trying to get at is it could be a.
I get what you're asking, and I think the answer is I think it could be.
And Charlene is shaking her head.
Yeah. Feel.
Come on, please.
See, how do I put this? Because the Friends of the Library is a 501(c), they can only give money to support things that are not operational costs. So our programs are not operational costs. It would be really counter to the rules for us to take money that the Friends would give to the library budget to pay for things like our copier or our extensive utility bills that are coming through. So it could relieve a few things, but not very much that falls into the realm of what we pay for with both the taxpayer dollars and the money that we get through the county from the bridges system.
I just wanted to put that out there. That's just something that was on my head.
Yeah, to clarify, Charlene, the Friends will do like programming and things like you might buy the library something they need.
Yes.
Right.
You buy brands.
Yeah.
So I think what I struggle with this whole thing is two entities fighting against each other for dollars to raise, right? So you established a bingo for the village and quite a good one, right? So what I worry about is that now adding 8 more of these sessions could possibly take away from the buzz of everything that's going on for our bingo, because bingo was, correct me if I'm wrong, Brad, our biggest take for raising money.
Still is, I believe, right?
Right.
Not seeing the numbers from this year.
But
right?
let's go back till you had to step away from doing that. It was the biggest, right? So try to see where I'm going here, right? I mean, it's all commuting, it's all raising money, but I feel then like we're pitting against one another. You guys are now doing, and you guys stepped up so that the community didn't go without breakfast with Santa, but that's money that's staying with the Friends of the Library. So that's our fault, right? I can't say it's your fault that you're doing it, but it's less money that we're raising, right? And now we have a potential of you asking us to potentially lose up to $4,800. So that's my battle of trying to play on the same field with everybody and be nice. But numbers are starting to not support a full granting of a pass for the waiver. So.
Well, and keep in mind that when I looked through the village calendar and selected those dates, all of those dates at the time were open. Right?
Oh, 100% believe that, right?
And part of doing that and knowing that if this takes off, right, and looking at what is the community events committee doing today in terms of what are they charging, what are the hours, what's involved with that, the Friends is gonna mirror that so that it's not a competition between, we're not gonna charge less, we're not gonna charge more, we're gonna charge the same. So
And-
that the participants have that same experience, right?
Right, but it's, you're missing my point.
No, I'm not, but I get it.
Okay,
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
right. And so I don't think the argument of it's gonna be the same, but it lessens what we have. Of what you've created,
And on
because you're adding more to it.
On one side, yes, but on the other, there's the hope that it expands it too.
Well, that's always a hope, right? I would too, right? But if you add more and there's more to it, the possibility of less all the way around. And right now, that is our biggest fundraising. And our events committee is lacking with help like everything else, right? So we've lost, at this point right now, doing Santa and Easter Bunny, right? And those bring money, and you've been through all those, right? That was you. So
The
you
thing about
understand
the-
we're losing, and so that's my battle.
I get it.
On the calendar, we switched it to pending call the village for these dates until we could have this discussion, because before this, we had one call for one of these dates, but we didn't keep track of which date, but they had saw that it was already taken because it was just listed as bingo. So we put that as pending. We don't know who that person was that called, so we can't get that back. But we have a pretty consistent, people will add those dates late as we get going. They don't necessarily plan that far in advance.
We did have a second one.
And
We had a second individual call in, and we did take their information.
Thank you. So it leads me to believe that we could possibly lose at the absolute best between $2,800 and $4,800 between resident and non-resident, if that were to be waived. I know in the past, your April and May bingos were kind of not the best.
Other driven.
Same with all the
Yeah.
bingos. And then it was just a couple $100 of revenue in the past. So
And when we looked at what is the potential draw for bingo from May through, and initially it was May through November. We thought, well, if we could do $500 to $700 total for the Friends, that $500 to $700, if we use 600 as the average over 8 months, is $4,800. That supports and gets back the check that we just wrote for them. So it brings us back even as of February in terms of our opportunities for fundraising. It kind of levels things out a little bit. But I get where you're coming from and looking at the potential gain versus loss in that. I absolutely understand that.
and from the village standpoint, we do look for every revenue dollar we possibly can get.
Why not?
I have a question for Ben. Ben, was every weekend booked between May and November?
Of this
Last year?
Last year?
Yep.
I know, give me 1 second, I have the internet up. So May, we had one Saturday. June, we had no Saturdays. July, we had no Saturdays. We had one Saturday in August, none in September, none in October, none in November, and one in December.
Okay.
So we're not really losing anything technically compared to last year, except maybe 1 or 2 outfit days.
Well, it sounds like July, August, September,
Right.
November and October. they all
November and
had-
October, we would be losing an outside renter
If it were to pan out.
if it would be the same as last year
Correct.
by giving away. Okay.
And no one's arguing that there could be no one.
Yep.
But we have to still look at the potential of us taking that opportunity away when we do struggle to raise money for community events here.
Well, yeah, I mean, or do we, or do we want to consider a compromise? $80 is what we charge for a weekday. Do we consider doing something for a different price on a weekend? Because it's being utilized 8 times.
Okay, so you're
mean, that's-
suggesting possibly instead of a full
Yep.
waiver, something reduced.
Yeah, I don't know what that looks like, half or,
I would go less than that.
Listen, I guess I'll take input. I guess we need input because I personally don't think a full waiver would be appropriate for the village because then we're giving up those funds.
What was a residence fee?
$350.
$350.
so half is
$175.
$175, $1,400 for the 8.
I mean, I get your cause and I understand what it is.
We're, like
You're
I
working
said,
on,
it's a struggle, right? Because I don't want to, like,
You guys are in a horrible spot right now, because if you say yes, great, and if you say no, that, it looks bad, right?
Mhm.
I totally get the position you're in. I sat there.
So I'd like to thank you for that.
yeah. And I mean,
You're welcome.
it's, for me, it would, a full waiving of it I wouldn't vote for, but I definitely believe that we should do something, and whether we cut that and how that looks of something, but
Well, would the board consider this? Because we don't know what we're walking into either, right? Would the board consider a one-time fee at the end of the 8 months of $500? Would they consider that?
That'd be interesting.
That gives us an
I don't like-
opportunity to generate funds, not have to pay it out before we know what we're gonna get, but commit to that total over the period of the 8 months.
What are you hoping to generate in revenue for Friends?
If we could do $600 a session or an event, right?
$62.
If we could do $600, then we would be looking at, if we did, that would be $4,800. Now, I think the other thing to consider is that the Friends of the Library is not going to take on the concessions. The Scouts are going to handle the concessions part of that as a way for their group to generate revenue. They'd like to fundraise. They would like to get service hours. Jason and Nicole are here and they're able to speak to that as well. So the money earned from concessions isn't going to benefit the Friends. It's going to benefit the Scout troops. So where the Friends will generate will be from the bingo, from the 50-50, and from the raffle baskets, the same as we're doing now with raffle baskets. So when you look at that total nut to crack on what bingo's bringing in today, that $150 to $300 in concessions is something that the Friends is not going to absorb.
What about alcohol?
No, because it's a Scout troop, the Scout troops are not gonna, we'll continue to let them bring it in the way they do now. But there's not gonna be the sale of beer for.
So I didn't hear anything about the Scouts joining in this venture until now,
That's,
I didn't,
right? So that's two organizations
well,
instead of one.
three, when you factor in the fact that we're gonna ask for people to bring donations for the food pantry. I mean, but those don't really play into the bingo part of it, I don't think.
No. But,
okay.
so you understand now it's even more complicated, right? Because we're thinking the Friends are, because we kind of have what numbers can be, right? With concessions and everything else. Now you're saying you're foregoing some of your money already, which is the first I've heard of.
Well, I guess I didn't think that was pertinent to this discussion, right?
Yeah, but if we're supposed to consider the amount of money you can create from it, if we're thinking you're getting it all, how is it not pertinent?
I see your point there. And to your point, volunteers, the struggle.
Yeah.
100%. Yep.
Right? Every one of us know that,
Yep.
right? If
We
I
all
don't have to-
triple,
if I
quadruple
don't have to
duty.
Take on 25% of the operation and try and staff that with more volunteers. We let the Scout troops handle that. We let the scouts get the service hours for that. That's one less thing that I have to worry about. So my focus is strictly on the bingo experience. Now, do I understand food and concessions? I really do,
I know you do,
you know, but I can help them with that.
but you understand where I'm going now with this, right?
President
So
Castro.
we're looking at it as a whole, you guys are getting it all, and now you're saying, well, that's not the case. We're only taking this piece and the other person is taking that piece. So that kind of makes it even a little bit more, you know, kind of goofy for us to make a decision.
President Castor, can you, just for clarification, how, since you are king of concessions at bingo right now, can you, do you know, how much do you generate roughly?
The last couple, not the January one was very cold, so we had a low turnout. On average, you'll pull about $300 to $350, give or take,
And that's if it's relatively full.
if it's full. And then beer sales are way down, actually. So last year we had a good year on beer. This year we don't. It fluctuates. So I guess to Trustee Baylor's point is that if the Cub Scouts were utilizing the concessions and that money goes to them, that would be even less going to the Friends at the end of the day. So, I mean,
And that number is kind of unknown really based off of, you know,
right.
what those totals look like, right?
So that would be, if I did 7 at $250, that'd be $1,750 over the course of 8. That are 7 events.
8 events.
So yeah, so if it was 250 times 8, that's $2,000.
Well, I can tell you, I'm also in favor of some sort of variation waiver, not the full waiver, but a partial.
Well, personally, I'd like to see maybe at $100 per venue for the use of it. And that way we're getting something out of it as the village, but they're getting a decent break compared to the value of what we could get out of it.
Yeah, I agree. We're still covering the overhead here.
I mean, if we wanted to do, what also worries me then is if you don't get if we set a rate here tonight and then you don't get the people, what happens then?
Well, I think that's why it's beneficial to set a total value and have that payable at the conclusion of the season versus having it be paid monthly.
Yeah.
We commit, let's say it's $100. We'll take Trustee Benjamin's suggestion of $100 and we do 8 sessions. At the end of the 8 months, then the Friends of the Library will write a check for $800 as our commitment towards that rental fee. But I think it's easier to do that knowing what that looks like at the end versus rolling the dice and hoping that we get that every month.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I understand. I guess the other thing would be is that if you got halfway through the season and it wasn't going well, do you cancel your dates then?
I think the toughest part of the season is going to be the opening part of the season. I think once we get to fall, I think we'll see participation go up. We both know that the May event is questionable.
Yep.
Right? We know that doing it in August and July, we don't know what the weather's going to bring. I'm going to hope for rain on those days. But I think once we get to, September, October, November, as fall starts to roll around and snow flies, hopefully we'll see those numbers grow.
To Ben, do you know the person that called? Was it a resident or non-resident?
I do not believe that they were a resident.
So that right there would be $600, just as an example. And you know what date they wanted?
We have it written down. I don't have it in front of me.
Okay. So if we wanted to get extremely creative, we could also say, well, if somebody calls in, that would be one rate versus, because then we know we could get $600 from somebody versus if nobody calls in, well, then we know we wouldn't have had it rented. So we could get
Well,
kind of
then
creative
we're spending office hour time trying to figure out what it should be. And
What about a percentage?
I don't like that at all because that depends if they don't get people. I mean, it takes a lot of work to get,
Okay. And if they do really good,
I think that's, messy.
Plus, no one has bingo on Saturdays either. There's nowhere except Potawatomi, so that is a plus there too.
Yeah.
So would I'm just gonna say like resident rate divided by 2 is 175. I would propose, 175 times 8. And I could be flexible when it was paid, but then that's a balance. It seems like that's a fair balance.
I would compromise at 150.
I would say both totals seem high, given the unknown.
Exactly, but I'm just saying as a compromise.
I get it.
Yeah.
Compromise, I understand the compromise, but I also understand that.
I understand that too.
There's risk and reward on both sides.
May I ask a question?
Yes, Mr.
Sure.
Benjamin.
Explain who you are and
I'm
to.
Charlie Benson. I'm president of the library board. I reside at 4503 North 126th Street in Butler.
Thank you.
Don't forget that.
Yeah, that's right. I'm in Jordan Park. I'm questioning the discussion about paying, the Friends of the Library paying fees has me a little confused because in past years, we have always had those fees, the Friends have always had those fees waived. And I'm wondering if this is a matter of volume is why this is coming up, or is this a new?
I believe that this is more of a matter of volume. Because I believe that in the past you had maybe 2 trivia nights, like one in the spring, one in the fall. But with 8 events, particularly over the high traffic months of the summer where there's.
And the most popular night, right? So we all gamble, right?
It would sound like it if they had so many Saturdays that were open last year.
Not everybody,
I think a total
not
of
everybody
3.
plans 6 months in ahead for a Saturday.
I think I counted 3 Saturdays that weren't booked
We
last
get-
year
we-
in 6 months.
You know that we get last minute, right? Come on, let's all just be a little honest here. But we gamble too. We gamble that when we give you this cut in half, that we're not going to lose $600 every time. So we gamble as well, right? And I understand your point. You want to make as much money, and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing as the president. But we are also doing what we're supposed to be doing too. So when you say you're gambling, and based on our gamble's a little bit more than your gamble. Our gamble could be 4,800, and it could even touch more if someone wanted a weekend, a Saturday and a Sunday. Well, no one's going to take that if the Saturday is already gone. So we're also going to take a gamble with you.
That's fair.
Do you think on December 19th, you'll also be doing the Santa breakfast? So I could see, I mean, to me, the Easter and the Santa that's a very big community event. So I could see wiping off the 19th from discussions. So I think then if we focus just on the 7 dates, I think 350 is our normal rate. If we divide that by 2, I think that's fair. And that's 175 times 7.
1225.
1225.
I think it's gonna be a reach,
For what?
that money.
I know I can get 600 right out of the
I
gate.
understand what you're saying, but I'm looking at what they're trying to do and what it's for. I think it's a reach for that type of dollar value.
So why should they get the money and not the village?
It's a reach because they're sharing their profits.
I
I don't think
care.
there's anything wrong with that, but you got to understand it's not one person that we first thought was coming here. Now it's 2 people.
no.
So they're making a conscious decision to split their money.
Yeah, and I do agree that there is other things to consider here because they're also asking to use our equipment. So,
Well, that's the next.
That's-
discussion.
yeah, I know that,
that's a-
but the thing is they're
that's a
asking to use
separate
our equipment
discussion.
and they're asking to use our building.
It's a separate-
So I
it's a
do
separate
believe,
subject.
yeah, I do believe that a partial is appropriate. I'm in favor of a partial, and half seems reasonable.
I'm going to make a motion at this time to do 7 events at $175 per event. That is the May through November. For a total of $12.25.
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Call the roll.
Sardina,
No.
Gazdorf,
Yes.
Baylor,
Yes.
Veronic,
Yes.
Benjamin.
No.
Motion carries 3-2.
Thank you.
When do you need to know whether or not we'll move forward?
Yes, that was gonna be my next question. Now you have our position. The board has voted, so you can let us know then if that's something you wanna,
We meet Tuesday.
Okay.
24th.
you can let us know. You can let us know and we can go from there. Okay, fair. Thank you. Item E. New business, discussion and possible action on an equipment rental agreement between the Village of Butler and the Friends of the Butler Public Library for use of the village's bingo equipment.
I will just make a quick note
It is
that
not
it should be,
renting.
it should be borrowing. It is not a rental.
Borrowing.
I have an old copy. Mine doesn't say that.
Mine doesn't say that either.
Okay, so item E, discussion and possible action on an equipment borrowing agreement between the Village of Butler and the Friend, which should be Friends, of the Butler Public Library for use of the village's bingo equipment. So I can speak to this, thank you.
Yes.
Actually, or Mike, do you want to cover this? Because were you in that meeting?
I was not.
Okay.
What meeting are you talking about?
Community events meeting where they discuss
That's the
it.
one I missed.
Okay, so I was there. We did a little research on this and Brad found the bingo equipment and I believe you got a deal on that for $350 back when you were a trustee. I believe is what we
Yeah.
looked up. You had the connection, if I
I found it
recall.
on Facebook Marketplace, roll the dice on that.
And then the community events use their fund balance to purchase the equipment. The community events felt that they wanted an agreement between the village and the Friends for Brad to use the equipment. And the initial discussion was to charge, but there's been since further agreement that you can't charge for the equipment.
Correct. State law forbids it.
So this is in front of us. But if the community events that paid for that out of their budget, how can this be a village issue?
The community events committee basically delegated to the village board to draft and pass the agreement on their behalf.
It's still village property though, correct?
Yes, by extension.
Even
yes.
though it was out of their funds, it's still village property. So I think
Yeah.
it makes sense that it does come this way.
Yeah, the village board does pass their budget every year and tax dollars go to it and all that stuff.
And I think I can add to it, that part of the discussion was that they were going to be asking for multiple dates. And that was part of our discussion, because I did miss one meeting, but one meeting we did talk about this, and we were concerned that they were going to be asking for multiple dates, and that was one of the reasons why we wanted to make sure it got pushed to the village board.
So thank you. I think that is correct. So the two things would be then the title should be Friends, not Friend. And then we need to eliminate one of the whereases with the $50 per month because we can't charge for that.
I believe that you're again looking at
Yeah,
a
you didn't get the amended.
Is that, okay.
It's up there. It's on the
All
amended.
right. Was that out of the amended?
yes.
Correct.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
So, I'd make a motion to borrow the equipment per the agreement between the village and Friends of Public Library for the use of the bingo equipment.
I'll second.
Oh, I heard Mike, you started before I did. So, motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in
I want-
favor, say
I
aye.
want clarification. Hold it. I want clarification. Exactly how it's gonna be worded,
How what's worded?
this motion.
I
want it-
thought I
I-
did exactly say
I
it.
want to hear it again.
That it's equipment borrowed, it's an agreement between the village and the Friends of the Library at zero cost.
Okay, don't get hostile. I'm trying to keep us out of a lawsuit with the state. So I just want,
Well, that's what borrow means,
I
zero.
understand, but I wanted clarification, and it does definitely say borrow.
So motion's made, motion made, seconded. I will ask Brad, did you have any questions on the motion?
I have no questions on the motion. I'm in agreement with the way it's written.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I did provide it to Mr. Meyer, and he reviewed it and submitted his comments.
Okay, I forgot to ask. Okay, discussion on the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On opposition, say nay. Motion passes.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad.
Item F, discussion and possible action on a temporary Class B beer license for Hope for Our Heroes for the dates of August 14th through the 16th, 2026. Danielle Ernst, agent.
So this is their annual temporary Class B beer license for their bags tournament that happens in August. Again, they've done this multiple years. They know what they're doing, and we've talked to them at length about this. So just coming to the board for their usual approval.
Move to approve. I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? On favor, say aye.
Aye.
On opposition, say nay. Motion passes. Item G, discussion and possible action on awarding the 2026 water main replacement and paving
Paving.
program contract to Stark Paving in the amount not to exceed $1,070,448.25.
So this is the award of the, as it said, water main replacement and paving program. I believe that I have communicated to the board what the current map is. We have sent out letters to all of the homeowners and business owners affected. There likely will be a change order at some point to be approved because we did find when it went out for bid, we got the results from Visi Sewer late. And they found that on 124th Street, north of Hampton, there is a large hole at the top of one of the sewer mains, and there's spiral fracturing on two other sections on 124th Street. So that needs to be immediately repaired this year. So they're going to be adding that. So the amount will likely be around 1.2 to 1.3 million once that all comes back. But right now, we're going to approve this and then do the change order later on.
It will still stay within that amount?
It would be,
A little higher.
it would increase to about 1.2.
Okay. Because of the new, got it. Stark has been doing it the last couple of years without issue.
Correct.
Any questions or a motion?
Move to approve. I'll second it.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On opposition, say nay. Motion passes. Old business, item A, discussion on the village's vision for fire station number 2.
This is a follow-up to a conversation that the village staff brought before the board about a month ago concerning what to do with the approximate 1 acre property that fire station, formerly used as Fire Station 2 on the north side of Frontier Park. So if you think the lower side of Frontier Park, that's the property that we're referring to. The discussion of the potential uses for the park we're between either retaining the park for an internal use of some kind, or to potentially understand what the situation would look like if we were going to sell it. A specific question from that discussion was what the value potentially of Fire Station 2 would be. Perry Nell, the village assessor, has gotten back to us with an approximate value for the land itself, not necessarily looking at the improvements, but the land itself as being between approximately 110 to 120,000 for the land itself, recognizing that there's not immediate utility access to the property.
So we're just bringing this back to the board to see if there's any other discussion that you wanted to have about this. At this time, I believe that Trustee Sardina and possibly Mr. Holdman stated that they would like to revisit it once we got those numbers from the assessor, that may or may not sway how they wanted to move forward with this. So just bringing it back to you guys to see if there's any other questions, comments, if you wanted to, if this changed anything for you, given this information.
I'd like to table it.
Approximately, what would the property tax run on that?
Um,
On it, right?
yeah, we would have to run it. I can't exactly remember what the mill rate is, but it wouldn't be that significant. I'm thinking, I can't even really guess. If I had to guess, it'd be between 1,000 and 2,000 per year.
Without a building.
Correct. Like I said, I'm just very, very rough estimates again, and then there would be the whole credits and stuff from the state with regards to some of that stuff. So I guess I can't give you an exact number.
So I think at this point, we can definitely table this item. The village staff can kind of do a little bit of more digging, see what type of interest there might be, not entering into any commitments or anything like that, but just seeing what interest there might be out there, seeing what interest there might be internally as far as a timeline for that, recognizing that we aren't looking to moving on any future with Fire Station 2 until the former fire department's equipment is been sold or transferred.
Thank you for checking into that. Again, there's no major hurry on doing anything with that building yet.
Do you need a motion to
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to,
move to table?
I'll second that.
motion has been made and seconded to table this item. Any discussion on the motion?
I just wanted to answer Trustee Sardina's. I just did really quick math, and without any type of tax credits from the state, it would be about $1,730.78.
Thank you.
I did a very good job.
To clarify, is that just on the land or is
That's
that
just on the land.
So we still plus improvements on that.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you for checking into that. On the table discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
On opposition, say nay. Motion passes. At this time, I like to call a closed session. The board may consider convening in a closed session pursuant to section 19.85(1)(e) Wisconsin statutes to conduct other specified public business where competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session.
And this is for the 1990 ladder truck.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
Second.
Who seconded that?
Mike?
Thank you. Call the roll.
Benjamin,
Yes.
Moronic,
Yes.
Baylor,
Yes.
Kasdorf,
Yes.
Sardina.
Yes.
We are closed.